Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into one of the biggest questions out there, looking at some research that might just change how you think about human nature itself.
You know the debate, right? It's as old as time. Are we, at our core, kind and cooperative creatures, or are we really just driven by cold, calculated self-interest? It's this constant battle between our better angels and our own personal bottom line.
All right, so let's start with a pretty modern, optimistic view, one that really throws a wrench into a scientific idea that's been around for a very long time. For like over a century, the main idea, going all the way back to Darwin, was that we're all basically programmed to be selfish. But lately, a whole new story has started to take hold, that our real secret weapon as a species isn't being the most competitive, but our incredible ability to work together.
And you know what? This isn't even a brand new idea. More than 100 years ago, people like Piotr Kropotkin were arguing that helping each other isn't just a nice little bonus. It's the absolute foundation of survival. Teaming up is how we all get through.
So how in the world do you actually test an idea like that? Well, a scientist decided to move past just talking about it, and they designed a simple but really powerful economic experiment.
They took this thing called the ultimatum game and ran it all over the world. We're talking 15 different small-scale societies, because they were trying to see if our sense of fairness is, universal, something that's just baked into all of us.
So here's how it works. Player 1 gets a chunk of cash, let's say a day's wages, and they have to offer a piece of it to Player 2. If Player 2 accepts the deal, great, they both get paid. But, and here's the kicker, if Player 2 thinks the offer stings and rejects it, both of them walk away with absolutely nothing. It's a choice that says a lot about what we really value.
Now, if we were purely selfish, Player 1 would just offer the tiniest possible amount, right? And Player 2 would take it because, hey, a little money is better than no money. But that is not what happened, not even close. Again and again, people made really generous offers, usually somewhere between 25 and 50%.
This was a huge deal. It led scientists to this really powerful conclusion. Maybe we're just hardwired with something they call inequity aversion, a deep, almost universal hatred of things being unfair. This really boosted the idea that we're a naturally pro-social species.
But, hold on a second. That is not the end of the story, not by a long shot. Now we get to the big twist, the part that makes this whole rosy picture of humanity a lot more complicated.
See, an anthropologist named Polly Weisner decided to run this whole experiment again. But she changed one crucial rule. She wanted to know what happens when you take away all the social pressure. And this quote right here, this is perfect. It captures the exact moment that shiny, optimistic theory starts to crack. A participant, after being told their actions were completely anonymous, was just suspicious. They couldn't quite wrap their head around the idea that they could act without anyone ever knowing.
So in her version of the game, identities were totally hidden. There was zero chance of retaliation, no way for it to hurt your reputation. And the result? Well, the second those social guardrails came down, people acted way more selfishly. That supposedly innate fairness seemed to just evaporate.
So what does this all mean? The crucial idea here is that maybe we're not hardwired to be cooperators or defectors. Maybe we're something much more flexible and a whole lot more opportunistic.
And this brings us to what researchers call the problem of opportunity. It's a fascinating idea. It basically says just because you see someone cooperating, you can't actually assume it's because they're a good person. It might just be that they haven't found a good, safe way to be selfish yet. Cooperating then isn't who you are, it's what you do.
And once you start looking for this kind of strategic opportunism, you see it everywhere. Take moral credentialing. That's when we do something good so we feel justified doing something bad later. Or how about moral wiggle room? That's when we intentionally keep ourselves in the dark to avoid feeling guilty. We even do delegated dishonesty, where we get something like an AI to make the selfish choice for us so we don't have to feel the blame.
Now look, this isn't supposed to be some cynical, downer take on humanity. It's about being realistic. It suggests we are incredibly adaptable creatures, absolute experts at finding loopholes and seizing an advantage the moment we think nobody's watching.
Okay, so if our nature is that flexible, what in the world does that mean for building better, fairer societies? Well, this is actually where the story gets really empowering.
The shift in how you look at it is subtle, but it's huge. The old idea was basically, hey, we are good, so our good nature will win out. The new idea is way more powerful. It's we have the capacity to be good.
which means we have to build systems that make being good the easy and rewarding choice.
And maybe that's our real superpower as a species. Not some built-in inherent goodness, but this right here, our behavioral plasticity. Our amazing, defining ability to adapt how we act based on the situation we find ourselves in.
So the path forward becomes pretty practical. First, we just have to accept that we're capable of both amazing cooperation and, yeah, some sneaky exploitation. Second, and this is the big one, recognize that context is everything. Which means third, we have to actively design our systems, our laws, our social norms, our institutions, to reward fairness and make hidden selfishness really costly.
And that is the absolute heart of it. The goal isn't to change human nature. I mean, good luck with that, right? The goal is to change the rules of the game we're all playing. And when you think about it like that, the power to build a better world isn't some fuzzy hope. It's right here in our hands.
Look, we are definitely smart enough to be selfish, no doubt about it. But what this all suggests is that we are also more than smart enough to recognize that tendency in ourselves and in others, and to build smarter, fairer systems to work around it.
So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. What's one rule, big or small, in your world, at work, in your community, with your family, that just makes it a little easier to do the right thing? Because by understanding this whole paradox, we can all become better architects of a much more cooperative future.